Hello and a very warm welcome. You're with World Business Report. I'm Sally Bundock. Also in the programme, US regulators accuse JP Morgan of manipulating the energy markets in California. We'll have the details for you. But first, many of the world's biggest oil companies are reporting this week. Today we've got BP. On Thursday we've got Shell, ExxonMobil and ConocoPhillips. And then at the end of the week, Chevron. But BP still stands out for the length of the shadow cast by its disastrous spill in the Gulf of Mexico back in 2010. The company is expected to set aside yet more money to help pay for the damage caused and cover claims for compensation. It's already earmarked $8.2 billion to pay for the damage from this event, the oil slick, but warned its first quarter results that the figure could be significantly too little. BP's complained it's been ordered to pay hundreds of millions of dollars, soon likely to be billions, for fictitious and inflated losses. These kind of claims, it's gone to the US courts and its legal battles are far from over, with any pronouncement on whether BP was grossly negligent or not unlikely to be given until at least 2014. Well, let's get some analysis from David Hunter, energy analyst at Schneider Electric. Good morning, David.
Good morning.
What are you expecting BP to tell us today? Let's look at the compensation claims. When the event happened 3 years ago, we all knew it would be very hard to measure the financial fallout of this. Where are we at with BP's liabilities?
I think in total terms, they've probably allocated and spent most of $40 billion plus on the total cleanup costs and everything associated with that.
But how do you think that will play out? Because so far, BP's attempts to fight those allegations in court they've not succeeded yet, have they?
No.
Very briefly, David, what's the long-term outlook then for BP? Because there have been some quite scary stories in the financial press recently about the ultimate damage this will cause the company.
That'll apportion blame. It will also say whether they were negligent or grossly negligent and attach a dollar cost to every barrel of oil spilled and decide how much was spilled. There are a huge range of outcomes there. The problem for BP is it's looking back as well as forward.
All right, David Hunter, thank you for your time. So a very long time before BP can draw under a line under that event, that's for sure. Let's have a look at some other business stories now. The US bank JP Morgan is expected to settle a case today where it is accused of manipulating energy markets. Traders at the bank allegedly used improper bidding tactics in California and the Midwest. We'll discuss that further when we look at today's newspaper stories. But now let's focus on Japan. And it's had some pretty dire economic news today. To get the details, let's go to our Asia Business Hub in Singapore and speak to Rico Hizon. Lovely to see you, Rico. This was not good at all for Japan, was it, the industrial output numbers? All right, thank you very much. Keeping us up to date, Rico there in Singapore. Now imagine living in a room just big enough to fit a bed and a table. And imagine cramming into the same space your family. According to a recent study commissioned by the Hong Kong government, that is how more than 65,000 poor families live in the Chinese territory, which is some of the most expensive property in the world. The result is more than double previous official estimates. In the latest in our series, looking at the cost of housing around the world, Jennifer Pack went to visit some of those families.
In Hong Kong, it's easy to see where the rich live. But between the skyscrapers, some residents sleep in appalling conditions. Most old buildings contains 2 units, but look at this one. It's been divided into 2, with 2 of their own doors. But this one has been divided into 4. In the meantime, families like the Tongs have to turn 6 square meters of space into a home. Mother and son sleep side by side on a single mattress. There is no room for this growing boy to stretch his legs. These stories are disturbing for Hong Kong. This is the place where the Chinese came to get rich first. But now people are struggling just to find space to sleep. Jennifer Pack, BBC News, Hong Kong.
Quite shocking, really, isn't it, when you look at that reality for many people living, certainly in Hong Kong. We'll continue our series on housing tomorrow. That's a look at the markets in Asia. Japan, higher, looking at the good rather than the bad news that Rico mentioned earlier. I'll see you soon for a look at the papers.